Hey guys, so I'm back this week with some more comic book reviews. Picked up 5 comics today, all of them pretty good. So, what do you say we just get started? Oh, keep on saying today. I'm filming this Wednesday. I probably will not be able to have this video up until Thursday. If it's up Wednesday, well, it is, but if not, expected Thursday. Sorry I'm a day late, but I'm having some internet problems, and I can only upload at a certain time. Anyway, moving right along. First comic we're going to review today is Constantine issue 4. Apparently it's Constantine. I just want to say Constantine. Apparently it's not. But anyway, issue 4 of Constantine teen, whatever. And it's a one-shot. Finally, right? A one-shot. Very rare these days in comics, but I enjoy them all the same, and it's my favorite, or one of my favorite types of one-shot, the day in a life. So, last issue, we ended an arc where, sorry about the light, it's dark out, so I'm gonna wake it up. Anyway, last issue was the end of the first arc of the new Constantine comic, that had Constantine looking for a compass which would be able to find all sorts of other magical implements. Constantine destroyed it, or separated the pieces so the bad guys can't get it. And so now we're treated to a nice one-shot that starts off in medias res with John being kidnapped by Papa Voodoo, who is from the original Hellblazer run. I think it was in the first issue, actually, if I remember correctly. Granted, I haven't read much of Hellblazer, but he got a redesign, because he was like a kind of like a big, kind of stereotypical voodoo man when we first meet him in Hellblazer, but got kind of a redesign. I think it looks pretty cool. So apparently Constantine, stole from this guy, from Papa Voodoo. Papa Voodoo's like, what the hell? Man, used to be cool. Meanwhile, John, then we find out how he got to this position. John's living out of a place. The parrot says something that turns out to be a foreshadowing. John goes to see Zatanna about something, and Zatanna's all like, hey, Trinity War's coming, in case you forgot, after this big-ass advertisement we put in the middle of every comic nowadays. And generally we just kind of see John going about well, not an average day for John Constantine, but a nice, calm day. He stops a robbery, he goes to Zatanna for a little, gets kidnapped, outwits his kidnappers, Papa Voodoo, with some magic, and then monologues a bit about life and how it's nice to have a good, calm day after a while, day off. And, yeah, it's a one-shot, so I enjoyed it. Like I said, I kind of have a soft spot for these day in a life of one-shot comics. But it was good. We get a more taste for, Constantine's character when he's not in the middle of a world-ending crisis, when he's just kind of dealing with the small stuff in his life. And, that really tells a lot about a character, what happens during his free time. And this issue explores that, and it explores it pretty well, I think. And John still smokes silk-cut cigarettes, so that's a nice nod to the old Hellblazer comics. And yeah, we just kind of see John on his day off. I'd recommend it. I think it's a good starting point, because it's nice, calm, easy, and hopefully next issue we'll start another arc. But maybe not, because then we're going into Trinity War and all that. But, got a nice little one-shot here. I'd recommend it if you haven't started, and if you have, if you're already reading, it's a good, nice little breather between arcs. So next up on the docket is Nightwing, issue 21, which sees the continuation of the arc we have going on with the Trickster and Nightwing hunting down Tony Zuko in Chicago. Actually, it might be it's hard because the Nightwing doesn't have it doesn't have like part 1 of or part X of Y. So it seems like it could be a middle of, although it could also be an end of arc because we do get a nice transition by the end. So I'd say it's maybe the end of the Trickster arc. So leaving where we left off, Nightwing breaks out of the Trickster's death trap. You know, takes the third option, which superheroes always do. And then he has to work with Trickster in order to find out where Tony Zuko has been. Meanwhile, we get kind of more history about Chicago and why they don't allow masked heroes anymore. So we get a little history about that in the beginning, which I think is nice. It's good world building. It doesn't really interrupt the story that much. And we get a lot of we get some decent action here. We get Nightwing breaking out of the death trap. We get him. We get some showdown with the cops, and then we get a little kind of behind the scenes what Tony Zuko's up to during all this, and we find out he's kind of become a family man. And of course, it's like, oh, do we trust him? This is the guy who killed Dick Grayson's parents. You know what's up? And Dick continues the hunt otherwise to find Zuko, and then the prankster does trickster. Is trickster or prankster? What I've been saying, prankster, because the trickster's a Flash villain. So yeah, the prankster does some more stuff, and yeah, it's a fitting end for an arc. I mean, it's not a great arc, not a bad arc. I mean, yeah, it's a good arc. It's a good issue. It finishes up well. I mean, for me, Nightwing has always been kind of a constant good, you know, not good, not great comic. It's had its moments, but, I mean, if you're a fan of the character, if you're a fan of what Nightwing has been up to this point, this isn't really a change. So pick it up. I wouldn't say it's a good launching point because it is the end of an arc, but maybe next issue will be a good starting point. But yeah, I'd recommend it if you are reading. So the third comic up today is Gail Simone's Batgirl number 21. Apparently, whenever Gail Simone writes a comic, I have to make a note of that because I'm a Gail Simone fan. But Gail Simone, Batgirl issue 21, continues the arc of the ventriloquist and actually ends the arc. 2-issue arc. Not bad. You know, can't complain about 2-issue arcs. I mean, I enjoyed it, and it was a nice, quick arc. Very chilling. This is a very kind of a haunting issue. As the last one, Gail Simone, she really can do anything. I guess she could do you know, like lighthearted comedy type stuff. She can do, and this proves she can do like really dark haunted house stuff. So this issue picks up where we left off with Batgirl. She's still kind of shell-shocked by killing her brother in issue 19. And this issue opens up with her on the phone with Nightwing, as Nightwing is busy in Chicago. And she's being all like, I don't think I can wear the bat anymore after what I did. I don't feel like I deserve it. And Nightwing's trying to calm her down. But it's clear that Barbara's under a lot of emotional stress right now. But she continues her work, you know, her work anyway, as, I guess just Girl, if she's not using Bat. So, Girl goes out, she finds where the ventriloquist lives, which is an old, spooky, abandoned house, and, yeah, it's just chilling. It's dark, it's spooky. The ventriloquist is this new ventriloquist is a genuinely scary villain. And what I like is that we don't find out how her powers work. We know she's a ventriloquist, but her puppets really seem to have a life of their own. They move without strings, seemingly. She can control many of them at once. It's really eerie, and they're, you know, like, really powerful. They're big threats. They're not human, but they're stronger than Batgirl, and they overpower her, even the small one, even this guy on the cover. And it's just really scary. Well, not like like not screaming scary, but really, like, something's always behind you, something's always watching, sort of scary. A chiller, I guess. And Barbara's scared. You get kind of a shiver down your spine at certain points. But it ends. It does end the arc, so we get Batgirl, punching out the ventriloquist here, and then going home to have cookies with her roommate before going on a date with I forget his name. Freddy, is it? The person, the guy she rescued as Batgirl who lost a leg, and that guy. So it's a nice nice happy ending to a really a dark comic overall. And I mean, Gail Simone again does not disappoint. So if you've been following Batgirl, this is another great issue. Probably not the best starting point. I'd wait for next issue for that. So, moving right along to Scott Snyder's Batman 21 and the start of the Zero Year arc, which is supposed to last 11 issues, almost a year, so it better be good. We got a nice embossed cover, feels pretty cool, and it's a good starting point. Well, I'm a fan of Snyder, and we got a nice kind of cold open here. Gotham City 6 years ago. The place is a mess. The subways are flooded, and gangs are on the loose. We get this. I think it's a cool design for a gang. Just the wide open mouth, and then we get like Mad Max Batman over here on the Batcycle, costume torn to pieces, using a crossbow. And you're like, okay, so this is 6 years ago. This is in the past. We have no idea how we got to this point. Then we get the nice, like, title page over here before 5 months earlier than that, where our story begins. Gotham's nicer, and we have Bruce. Really, it's the 0 year. It's Bruce getting started as Batman, still kind of working out the kinks. But we have this nice rescue scene over here where Bruce is rescuing hostages, trying to test out his new equipment, like the grappling gun. And we have a nice, like, he swings it's really cool. And then we have Bruce flipping the bird. It's like, fuck yeah! And so we kind of get like a more, like a younger, kind of more rambunctious Bruce, which is cool. And after that, we have some more equipment testing. We have Bruce and Alfred interacting, which I always like. Of course, Alfred's like, I only joined this so I can try to talk you out of it. Bruce is like, no, this is bigger than me. I have to do this. And then we see him run into Uncle Philip. I don't know if this is a new character, actually, but it's Bruce Wayne's uncle, who is also rich and who has been the CEO of Wayne Enterprises during Bruce's absence while he was going around the world training. And he's trying to get Bruce back into Wayne Enterprises, like, hey, you're back, you should run the company. And Bruce is like, nah, I'm legally dead, I can't do it. And then we have a flashback to Bruce as a child, when his parents were still alive. We get Thomas Wayne being the second best father ever, next to what was Jonathan Kent, of course, who was the best father in the DC universe. And then at the end, we get a hint towards who might be the arc villain, and it's a biggie, and I don't want to spoil it, but it's one of the big guys in Batman's Rogues Gallery. It's one that we haven't seen yet in the current comics, and in the New 52, and they're really setting him up. I mean, he gets maybe 2 pages, but it's enough. I mean, I'm excited for him. And then at the end, we get a kind of a mini comic, and I hope this is like in the back um, of every 0 year issue because I think it's a neat addition. But it's Where the Hell Did He Learn to Drive, and it's a quick story of how Bruce learned to drive, you know, cars, like trick stunts and stuff, and it's a neat little end of issue story. I enjoyed it, and overall, I enjoyed Batman 0 Year a lot. You get a great cold open in the beginning. We're like, how the fuck did this happen? And this is 6 years ago. I don't know if it's the same year as the 5 months earlier, because 5 months could be a different year. So it could still be the 0 year in the beginning. It's the 0 year, in the middle of the comic, and yeah, it's an issue 1. So for an issue 1, there's a lot of action. You're expecting more exposition. You get a good decent amount of exposition. You get a tease for the villain. You get a cold open. You get some Bruce and Alfred. You really get a little bit of everything in this, and I mean, in Snyder, I trust. So Scott, by the way, Scott Snyder, not so much Zack Snyder, but we'll get to that on Monday after I've seen Man of Steel. But 0 Year, I'd recommend. And if you're not reading Batman, which you totally should be, just pick up Batman. Scott Snyder has been killing it consistently. This is the start of what looks to be a great arc and a chance for Snyder to redefine his Batman, which has been kind of an issue since the New 52 and what's canon, what's not. So it's a good chance for Snyder to establish his own canon and make his own, 0 Year, which, like I said, I trust him to do a great job with that. So speaking of Man of Steel, the last comic we have to review this week is Superman Unchained, also by Scott Snyder. Also in issue 1, which means beginning of an arc. So I'm just going to pretty much repeat what I said. Pick it up. It's a good issue. That's really... I should expand. I'll expand. Okay. So the main story is Superman... Okay, I'm not going to do that. So, the story opens, another cold open. Snyder's a fan of cold opens, where we open in Hiroshima, 1945. They're dropping the bomb, except, oh, this is great. I love this. This spread over here. We get, it's not a bird, it's not a plane. They're dropping the bomb, and it seems to be some sort of Superman who was the atom bomb in Hiroshima 75 years ago. 75, 70, whatever. 78, wow. It's Superman's 75th anniversary. Wait, so what would it be 70? It would be 68 years ago, because Superman was 38. Yeah, so roughly 60-something years ago. Between 65 and 70 years ago. Because I can't do math right now. So after that cold open in Hiroshima. Oh, I'm sorry, this is Nagasaki. Ooh, it's right in the corner there. I showed you guys before, and I've been saying Hiroshima. It's Nagasaki. I feel dumb. So after that, we get to the main story, the main Superman bit, where Clark is in space and stopping all sorts of satellites from falling out of orbit into Earth. Or rather, you can't stop them from falling, but, he's making sure they don't kill anyone or do too much damage. And in the beginning, we get this great kind of... I'm a big Superman fan. I guess, like, most people are, but... And I love the bits where he's kind of talking about the old country, like, when he was growing up. Because that's really the heart of Superman. It is his... It is how he was raised to be this, this bright, upstanding, constant, morally good, guy. And so I love when we get these, like, inner monologue flashback things where he's talking about his youth. And here he's talking about how he used to jump in hay bales on the farm. And it's... I don't know. I like it. It hits a nerve for me. So we start with like that monologue while Superman's out in space catching satellites. And so we get, great action here. He's trying to stop the satellite. There's this brilliant spread, which I think was like a big selling point of the comic. So we have him over here, just the rest of the book's in the way, but like just punching his way through the satellite, trying to get to the astronauts inside. And I'm not going to remove this, by the way, because I have nowhere to put it on my wall. So it's going to stay in the comic, folded up. And the art's brilliant. I mean, I know some people have a beef with Jim Lee. I mean, sometimes I don't like his style, but I think he can do big set pieces. I think that's kind of his specialty, and you don't get bigger set pieces than Superman in space trying to catch satellites. And we have this great... The whole rescue is great. It's kind of classic Superman stuff. It's like, what does Superman do? Lift cars, flies, and catch things falling down. And so that's what we get here. We get Superman catching something falling from space. And it's a satellite, so of course it's equipped with lasers, because everything's equipped with lasers. And he's... it's just a great action scene. And it's a great non-combat action scene, which we don't really get a lot of anymore in comics. It's like whenever it's action, it's a fight. So this is a great non-combat action scene with Superman. And then there's this great bit. Superman's just, he's so good. And so he's like, oh, how can I thank you, the astronaut's like, how can I thank you, Superman? And he's like, go out and celebrate, because that was a close one. And so after that, you have Superman. He's like, I know who's behind this. And he goes to find Luthor, and Luthor's like, hey, it's not my problem. I didn't do it. And of course Superman can't do anything because he's a law-abiding citizen, and habeas corpus and all that. So after that, we get pretty much the rest of the issue with Clark. This is continuing off the main Superman story, so Clark is running a blog. He quit the Daily Planet. And we have a chat between Clark and Lois, and Lois is like, hey, you did, the Superman article you wrote is wrong. And of course Clark's like, how can it be wrong? And it's because apparently, even though Superman, Clark, thought he only prevented 7 of the 8 satellites from crashing down and making a mess of things, apparently none of them actually crashed. One of them is completely unaccounted for. And people, everyone thinks, oh, Superman stopped it. But Clark, knowing better, goes to investigate. So we get a little more Superman at the end here. So we have Clark going to investigate, seeing where the satellite should have crashed, only to realize, well, it did crash, but there should be more wreckage. He's like, what, something stopped this. And we get a handprint before the U.S. government, we find out, fires missiles at him. They have a secret underwater base where they are holding the real Superman, or rather, the thing they dropped on Nagasaki in '45, apparently, where they've been keeping underwater in a secret base. And so yeah, then we get an epilogue with Jimmy Olsen and Percy White in the Daily Planet, but we don't really get a huge... It's more of a tease, so I'd yeah, it's not really... I don't think it's worth talking about at this point, because it's set up, but we're not really sure what it's setting up even. But yeah, another, like I said at the beginning, another great first issue by Snyder. Sets up the story, sets up intrigue. We're wondering who caused the satellites to fall, what this mysterious weapon man is, what the U.S. Superman is that they dropped on Nagasaki, and if Luthor is up to anything. yeah, so basically those are the arcs they're setting up. It's is Luther up to something? Who dropped the satellites? And what is the Nagasaki man? And yeah, it's like I said, you have some good action, um, good intrigue, and like I said in the beginning, I just love the country boy Superman sort of thing. So if you're into that as much as I am, then they have that for you too. Um, so I'd recommend picking up Superman Unchained. I'm pretty sure it's a new ongoing, so that's another. This is an issue 1, so it's probably gonna be another $4 a month, which I feel is totally worth it for another Scott Snyder book. And so that's it for that week. That's it for this week. 5 books, all of them good. All of them I recommend picking up if you're continuing, and I recommend if you're just starting reading. I would recommend Constantine, Superman, and Batman. So yeah, another good week. I can't wait till the next, where I'll be back with more reviews. So I will see you then.